is a very, very important factor in the success of that project or team. Okay, pretty much everyone, which is not surprising. Some of you remember a previous project of mine in which I talked about Toastmasters' potential for leadership, or the organization opportunities for taking leadership positions. And many of us, I think, especially today, are probably sick and tired of noticing how many fake leaders we have at the very top of the hierarchies in our politics, sometimes maybe even in our economical organizations. And what I hope, what I think, is that us, as Toastmasters members from this club and from other clubs, can improve that situation in the sense that we can learn enough about the leadership skills in such a way to at least recognize them reliably in others. And hopefully, at some point, a small percentage of us will learn enough about these skills to become the leaders at the very top of those hierarchies of political, economical, social. In my previous project, I spoke about these leadership opportunities and how many jobs with learning opportunities there are in our organization. And there are at the club level, at the area level, division level, district level, and so on, plenty of opportunities. However, this is still an incomplete story, because as in every organization, positional leadership, so you have here a director, or manager, and a bunch of team members. This is classical positional leadership. In any company, you'll see an org structure like this. Now, the problem with this structure is that it doesn't scale. You have 20 potential leaders here, and not all of them will be able to become this guy at the top, right? So there are 20 potential missed opportunities, and you never know who is the next potential leader. How are you supposed to know? I mean, there are some potential leaders here, maybe. What do you think? Do these guys look like leaders?
Blow me up.
How about these guys? They are the same people.
So.
So, my point is this. Many of us are in that bottom part of the organizational hierarchy, and we don't know, and our colleagues maybe don't know what our potential is. Okay? And studies have shown the fact that fear of being held responsible for the outcome of a project or of team is what almost half of the people are really afraid of when it comes to taking on leadership positions or additional responsibilities. So, what I'm saying, what I'm proposing for you is a new perspective, a new solution for this problem. Leadership in this way doesn't scale. So how about thinking about leadership in a different way? In thinking about leadership as a step function. So how do we become from individuals, actual contributors in a team, and then leaders? Not necessarily positional leaders. Let's think about what it takes to become a leader. Maybe it takes some training, right? Knowledge. Maybe it takes pressure from the outside. You need to take this responsibility from parents, usually. Maybe we need leaders or mentors that teach us how to become leaders. But maybe we also need an approach moment to moment, thinking about leadership in a day-to-day, minute-to-minute, second-to-second kind of way, in which we can make decisions to be leaders in this moment. So let me give you an example, a practical example. Some of you know that last November I was out for about 6 weeks, at least 6 to 8 weeks, because of a health problem in my family. My mother had a really serious health issue. She was basically operated, and the surgeon who operated on her said her intestines had popped, and the contents of her intestines were in her stomach. So she was, frankly, 24 hours, this is what the doctor said, 24 hours away from being forced to live for the rest of her life with a bag hanging outside her stomach for the contents of amputated or cut off intestines, and 38 hours away from dying, presumably from the infection caused by this spill. Now, during this experience, I had many opportunities to notice in myself and in others such leadership moments. One example is related to some relatives who kept calling my mother in the days after the operation, and they were calling and insisting many times a day, and when she finally was able to pick up the phone or call her back, they would bitch about, pardon my French, the fact that she did not answer in time and that they were so worried about her health. During that 2 hour, 3 hour, however many hours period that had passed from their initial call to her answering or calling back. This all culminated with my father starting to cry a couple of days after the operation, crying in front of my mother and saying, "Oh my God, what am I going to do if you don't recover and you're not going to live going forward?" So my leadership moment at that point was an anti-leadership moment. My reaction was, this whole situation is not about you, you blundering idiot. Okay? It's about somebody else. The lesson was that I did not speak out loud these thoughts and feelings that I had, and I restrained and, I don't know, tried to give him feedback later. But I'm not the good guy in this whole story, because I also had a bad behavior during this whole history, because I was at home in the weekend when it all started. And my mother was complaining about her health. She was feeling sick, very sick, and she has some chronic gallbladder issues. And because of this and because of her personality, she likes to complain. Myself and my sister, really ignored her complaints. We said, "Oh, okay, it's your gallbladder again. Just suck it up for a couple of days and it will be fine." And it was my girlfriend at the time who was visiting my parents together with us who had a leadership moment and said, "Look guys, she hasn't been to the bathroom for the last 24 hours or more. She's feeling really, really bad. Are you sure the symptoms are similar to the ones that you've seen previously?" And based on this moment, myself, my sister, and her, we made the decision of not allowing her to stay at home until Monday to go to the emergency room at home in Hunedoara, but rather she came with us in Cluj in the same day, and she got operated on 3 or 4 hours later instead of 24 or 48 hours later, which, I remind you, might have meant a life of carrying a bag or no life at all. So my call to action here is to think about yourself as leaders, even if you are at the top or the bottom of that hierarchy, and take the opportunity of acting as a leader moment to moment, second to second, in this very normal day-to-day way. Whenever you have the opportunity to say, how about acting as if this whole situation is not about me, do that. Because you might think that you're not important. You are one little speck of dust among 7 billion specks of dust, right? But one of my favorite authors, Jordan Peterson, has a saying. He says that during our lives, we are probably going to meet and come in contact with about 1,000 people. And each of those 1,000 people are going to come in contact with another 1,000 people, which means we are 2 people away from 1,000,000 people. And the way we act in every moment is potentially going to influence the 1,000 people, maybe the 1,000,000 people. And to prove this is true, I did a LinkedIn search for CEO of Microsoft. And in these days of social media, this is very easy to do. And current CEO of Microsoft Global is here, CEO of Microsoft Sweden, Microsoft UK, and so on. They are all third connections for me. You know what this means? This means that a friend of my friends on LinkedIn is potentially in that guy's network. So, consider this. 1,000 people in your life, you can potentially influence this way or that way. Choose the right way.
So, we all want to inspire, we all want to persuade. As public speakers, when you come here on stage, you want the people listening to you to make a change. You want them to create a better design of themselves. You want maybe for someone to replace suffering with pain, or just pleasure, or maybe not. You want to make a change in the world. You don't want to bore your audience. You don't want people to waste their precious fleeting time while listening to you. You want to inspire, to persuade. And tonight, I became here in front, practicing, inspiring, and persuading people. Well, those here in this hall. So, what was important to inspire or persuade us with? Well, it was important to transmit a vision of a future and maybe have us join him in a mission to change the world in a certain way. So I have to say, Ali, from the get-go, that the vision that you transmitted, I felt it, I feel that it's a positive mission, although it's not very clear to me exactly what it is. And I did notice bits and pieces which are very important. Like for example, you mentioned that learning leadership skills is important. And you also mentioned that it can be difficult to identify leaders. You all remember that example with Obama and Gandhi before and after. Like how could we choose the best leader of those? You also mentioned that classical positional leadership model is ineffective because it doesn't scale. You also mentioned about leadership moments, how important it is to focus on the other person and not on yourself. And also choose the right way to influence. So it's very important bits of the grand vision, which I'm not very clear exactly what it is. And maybe sometimes that's our vision should be, not very clear, but doing it. Now in terms of connecting the audience's desires and fears and wants to this mission. I noticed you mentioning feeling sick of the actual, the present political, economic leaders. You mentioned that. And also, what I found very nice is towards the end when you said you might think they're at the bottom or not important. So you face people's potential feeling. You know, when you're feeling not important or at the bottom. And that helps you, I believe, set the stage for your more positive message. That you and your actions matter. I believe that was the most pervasive message that you transmitted, that you and your actions matter. And the way that you portrayed this class was with a personal story. I think it was an excellent personal story. You underlined the importance of focusing on the other people's needs, other person's needs, bypassing your internal dialogue and just looking at the other person. Now, in order to underline happier gestures, to emphasize choosing the right way towards the enemy, that you can influence one way or the other. It's up for you to choose. Now, in terms of actually motivating the audience to act, I'm not sure. I can only speak for myself. And I was moderately persuaded to pay more attention to those around me, what they say, and try to go over the internal dialogue and personal beliefs and just take things as they are. And that's one thing that we practice here for Refract Rex as evaluators. Just notice what the other person is saying and evaluate that. So overall, I'd like to say that I noticed a positive social vision, and I appreciate that. You had a great engaging exercise, and everybody laughed and were there. Your call to action at the end was clear, and it was underlined by your body language. And maybe as the few pointers to improve in the future, to spend maybe a little more time on identifying more hopes, dreams, and fears of the audience. And maybe identify recurring